If you're easily angered by man's inhumanity to man or police abuse of power and the innocent, this video is not going to be for you. Maybe watch something that'll lower your blood pressure. And while I got you here, is it ever a good idea to answer a cop's questions? Like, a lot of questions?
You got your driver's license with you? You have a registration card with you? Any weapons in the vehicle? Where are you coming from? What brings you all the way up here? No weapons on you, right? You said your daughter lives up in Portola? You a fighter?
My fighter?
Yeah, you got a tap out shirt on.
Well, I've got a lot of training. I'm a retired Marine.
Okay. What'd you do for the Corps? What do your daughters do, man? Ever been in trouble with law enforcement before? Any large amounts of United States currency in the vehicle? So there's over 10,000 in there? Would you give me permission to search your vehicle today? That's okay with you? Okay, perfect.
You know, this is something I never understood. Why would an adult allow another adult to rifle through his property? If you look up the definition of organized crime, you'll read something like criminal activities that are planned and controlled by powerful groups and carried out on a large scale. In their planning and scheming, organized criminals or criminals and organizations target those who are to be controlled. And make no mistake, a crime is still a crime whether the criminal is wearing a pinstriped mafia suit, a hoodie with a black face mask, or a police uniform. Those who violate the will and freedom of others for no reason have committed a crime. When they're part of an organized crime ring, they're organized criminals. From the perspective of actions alone, the largest organized crime ring in North America happens to be the American police and sheriff's departments. And this powerful organized crime syndicate has a tool that the rest of us call armed robbery. But the euphemism they use for this same action is civil asset forfeiture. Stephen Lara is a 39-year-old retired Marine from Lubbock, Texas. Our American brother here is a dedicated father of 2 teenage daughters. And apparently, he drives from Texas to California once a month to visit his daughters where they live with their mother. In February of 2021, Stephen was making his usual trip west through Reno when he was pulled over by the Nevada Highway Patrol for supposedly following a tractor trailer too closely. Listen to how friendly, cordial, and complimentary Trooper Brown is with Stephen initially, and remember to never allow this to be a disarming factor in your interaction with cops.
Hey, good morning, Trooper Brown to that Iowa Patrol. How are you today? I'm doing great. Hey, the reason I'm stopping you, we have a special enforcement campaign going on. We're trying to educate drivers about violations they may not realize they're committing, but we're seeing a big increase in crashes out here. First, applaud you on your driving. You drive great. You're driving really slow. It appears that you're trying to drive safely under the speed limit. I appreciate that. I just want to talk about your following distance, especially around commercial vehicles. Came up behind a red and blue tanker truck. A little bit too close behind him before he made that lane change to go around him. I know it's sitting over there. I was waiting for you to trying to give you room to get over there because I know people like to jam you in that lane.
Truck coming out of there and people are driving fast. So
yep, absolutely. Yeah, you got to navigate that, but a little too close to him before you went around him. Okay. As you passed those semi trucks and you came back down to make that lane change in front of that semi truck, too close. You were less than a second in front of him when you entered that lane. You were only 1 second in front of him when you fully occupied that lane. If something were to happen to you, man, that semi truck would plow right through you. So we're seeing a bunch of crashes out here, just trying to educate people. You got your driver's license with you?
Sir,
awesome.
I appreciate you, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Do you have a registration card with you?
Well, it's a rental car here.
Okay.
So I do have my rental. If you don't mind, it's underneath here.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Any weapons in the vehicle?
No, absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. If you can grab the rental car, that'd be great, man. Where are you coming from?
Texas.
What brings you all the way up here?
Well, my daughters live here and I'm spending the weekend with them. So.
Okay. Here in Reno or whereabouts?
Well, Portola.
Okay.
And then we're going to spend the weekend.
Okay. When you got to get back down to Texas?
2 days. Well, actually 1 day.
Okay. Gotcha. Perfect. Do me a favor, man. What I'm going to have you do, I'm going to have you come out of the car and talk to me while I go over this. Got to make sure everything's valid. As long as everything's valid, my intention is to get you on down the road. It is a little chilly out here. I don't know if you want to throw your jacket on or anything like that. You sure?
Yeah, sure.
It's cold, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's cold in Texas right now. Come on out. No weapons on you, right?
No weapons.
All right, perfect. That's fine, man. You can leave it on. You can turn it off. It's completely up to you. You said your daughter lives up in Portola?
No, 2 daughters.
Okay. They both up in Portola?
Yes.
Come on over here, man.
All right.
You a fighter?
My fighter?
Yeah, you got a tap out shirt on.
Well, I've got a lot of training. I'm a retired Marine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What'd you do for the Corps?
Well, I was a data chief initially, but
Okay.
then they changed the MOS to cybersecurity chief.
Okay. When'd you get out of the Corps?
I got out about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do your daughters do, man?
My daugers, what do they do? Oh, 15 and 13 years old. So they're,
Okay. Yeah, they're young.
yeah, they're real young.
Okay. All right. Is it-
I'm moving them to Texas, so yeah, I'm just coming down here and just looking for a place down in Texas. That's where I'm from. So
Okay. Give me a second, man. All right, just hang right there. Ever been in trouble with law enforcement before?
Never.
Okay. Okay. Any large amounts of United States currency in the vehicle? Okay. What's a large amount of U.S. currency to you? Okay. So there's over 10,000 in there? Okay. How much money you got in there? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Would you give me permission to search your vehicle today? That's okay with you? Okay, perfect. 350, 250, I'll be on a consent search.
Trooper Brown is literally rubbing his hands together and probably salivating over the prospect of bringing a large cash haul into his department. 2 things every lawyer worth his salt will tell you is never answer a cop's questions and never let them rifle through your vehicle. Pull out your phone, hit record, don't answer questions, assert and invoke your Fifth Amendment right to be silent, and hold these cops accountable for their criminal actions. Now they find the money and banking receipts.
This doesn't make sense. There's some receipts in here though. But...
He said he put receipts in there to show us his money.
Okay.
But
Yeah, will you check them out, just see what you think up there? All right, man, so here's the deal, all right? I think you're a good guy.
I'm a good guy.
So how much cash is that?
About 100 grand.
100 grand, okay. So, as you know, right, I'm a vet, he's a vet, you're a vet. It's not illegal to carry currency, have currency.
Sure, it's not.
It does, though, make us ask some questions on why someone has 100,000. I can understand why you don't trust banks, especially in this day and age right now.
Discipline and lots of savings.
What's that?
Discipline and lots of savings.
So with that being said, if you're willing to talk to me about it a little bit, I'd like to. I know you got a bunch of receipts in there. I just want to make sure that it is your currency, that it's not being used for nefarious activities, right? That's not money laundering or something like that going on. That's the questions that it raised, that potentially money laundering or something like that's going on. So
That money right there is for my 2 daughters.
okay, you gonna give it to them on this trip or no? Or that's just your nuts?
That's my money and my two daughters' money and nobody else's.
Okay.
I take that money right there and I buy them things, put food on the table, I buy them clothes with that right there.
Fair enough.
And that's me looking at you man to man in your eyes and telling you exactly what that is.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I got some questions I'm going to want to ask you here in a few minutes. If you're willing to answer them, I'd appreciate that.
I have nothing to hide from you.
I appreciate that. Give me a few seconds. I'll make a couple phone calls, right? And then we'll start looking at those receipts and stuff like that.
Sure.
As long as it's which it is, right? Your money and stuff like that. We'll get John down the road.
If you look at those account numbers, if you want to call Bank of America, you want to call any of those banks, ask them whose account number that is.
I believe it, right? I gotta do my job, and my bosses look at what I'm doing to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence. So
I gotta pick up my daughters at Portola at 4 o'clock p.m. So as long as I can make it there,
I think we'll get you there by 4 o'clock. No problem there. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
So Trooper Brown admitted that Steven is a good driver, that he's a good guy, and that it's not a crime to carry cash. But he's got some questions for Steven about all that cash. And you know what? It's really none of Trooper Brown's business or anybody's business what Steven's got, how he got it, or what he intends to do with it. But Steven, still believing cops are his friends, just keeps on talking. Trooper Brown now gets in touch with his sergeant and a DEA agent to discuss the cash that he and his buddies are about to swipe from an innocent man.
Okay, I'm waiting to hear back from Shane to see if he comes out here. This is it's a strange one, but not a strange one. Consented to a search, said there was money up there. We located what he says is $100,000. It's in a Ziploc sandwich baggie. There's also, I haven't gone into it a bunch. I'm waiting to hear back from Shane, but there's a bunch of bank receipts and stuff in there as well to show the currency. This might be Shane. Hold on a second. This is Shane. Let me call you back.
Hey, I just wanted to apologize for not being able to make it out there on this seizure today.
Oh, no issues, man. I just pulled up to it.
Okay, we did a search warrant and got guns and guns and recovered police equipment and everything on Wednesday. It has to get out to the lab today, and I'm the one that processed it all, so I have to reprocess and get it out, and there was just no way I was going to be able to make it out there.
No issues. It's too easy to do an adoption. You know, we contacted you, so I think everything's going to be okay. And I'll text you the money count after we get it. It'll probably be a couple hours.
Trooper Brown now has Steven fill out an explanation form about the large amount of currency. Now Trooper Brown tells his sergeant that while it may be odd that Steven is traveling with this much money, he's answering all his questions and he has receipts. But Sergeant Brown wants to put the dog on the cash anyway.
What are your thoughts, dude?
I'm kind of leaning more towards it's odd, but
It's odd, but it's not packaged
it's
like
not.
normal.
No, and he's answering the questions. There's receipts here, and
I would like to put the dog on the currency, man.
Okay.
Because 90% of US currency will test positive for some drug, of course the dog hits on the cash, giving the road pirates the justification they need to abscond with Steven's life savings. Realizing what's actually happening, Steven says this to the stormtrooper in an apparent attempt to appeal to his humanity, if he has any humanity left.
Just want to let you know, I know you're just doing your job. That money I worked really hard for. I just wanted to tell you, Officer Brown, I mean, you're taking money out of my kids' mouths.
Sorry.
Or you're taking food out of my kids' mouths.
Like I said, we believe right now that this is drug proceeds, illicit currency.
Well, I'm going to prove to you that it's not.
Perfect.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
So your Marine Corps?
Yes.
What's your, how much service connected? You 100%?
90.
90%? That doesn't give you much to live off of, man. All my buddies that were service connected, man, are living in Costa Rica so they can live like kings, you know? So.
You got people getting 100% that didn't do shit, didn't
I
deploy.
understand
You
that.
got some that got the legs blown off, only got 30. So,
100%.
you know, that's what it is.
We had a gal first day in country, you know, that she broke down mentally, and then she's with Wounded Warriors and sending us letters and stuff like that, and I was pissed. I know what you're talking about. It's very, very odd to carry 100K in cash like that.
Yeah, but it's not illegal. But you're, I can understand.
It's not illegal, but
I can understand your perspective.
Did they explain what we do?
No, sir.
Okay, we're an interdiction unit out here. We're out here looking for human traffickers. We're looking for people running guns, you know. We're looking for basically criminals on the highway, you know. And so we have to meet a lot of nice people, and then sometimes we come in and we meet. So it's...
and I apologize. This gentleman here, he did explain that to me. So
okay,
I just want to be upfront with that.
No, that's... And I'm in charge of the unit, so then they called me, so I came out.
And everybody's been very professional. I didn't have anything to hide. That's why I let you search my vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean...
Yeah, everybody's been professional. Very professional, in fact. Like organized crime professional. Like they know what they're doing because they've done it many times before. But professional tyranny is still tyranny. $87,000 was seized from Stephen that day. And he had to hire lawyers, and the Nevada Highway Patrol had to be shamed by an article in the Washington compost pile just so he could get his money back. But thousands of Americans are victims of this organized crime ring every year. Thousands and thousands. And we'll probably never hear about them because they weren't fortunate enough to hire attorneys who would go to bat for them. Have you ever fallen prey to a civil asset forfeiture piracy scheme? Leave your comments about this below. If you support what we do on this channel, subscribe, become a channel member, grab a shirt, but more importantly, know what your rights are, record the police at all times, and fight for your rights. Freedom is dangerous, but tyranny is more dangerous. I'll see you in the next video.